So how are you nowadays? What's up?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. So, as you know, I spend probably 90% of my life not in my house. So, if I'm at work, or if I'm not at work, then I'm usually in your bar or someone else's bar drinking, or I'm out eating, or I'm traveling in old days, or whatever. So this is a new world for me. I'm at home all the time. I'm cooking. I clean. My beautiful wife Yuki recently learned how to do vacuuming. Normally, I do the vacuuming. And yeah, we're having a kind of a home life right now. So it's a new experience for me. I haven't done it since I was a kid.
I think right now, I don't know when we're going to launch this podcast, but right now we are in the middle of fifth pandemic.
Yeah, fifth wave. Yeah,
fifth
exactly.
wave. Yeah. A lot of time spent with the family, which is, I think, is a good thing, I guess, right? Like usually, I know you for a couple of years. You always travel around the world and, like going different cities. For your work, sometimes maybe pleasure. I don't know. Eating and drinking.
Eating and drinking.
Yeah, eating and drinking. But this time, I think since 2020, I guess. Yeah. Well, you still did travel. Actually, this is something I really wanted to ask. Offline, I did not, but I think like right now, like you are the one person that I see, even this time, you have traveled twice.
Three times.
Okay, we'll come back to that later. So, but right now, a lot of time at home. You're cooking. What kind of food do you like? That's
what kind of food?
Yeah, because I saw you posted. You just everywhere.
Yeah. So I eat every kind of food, like any kind of food. I think there's nothing I don't eat.
Nothing. How about those the Filipino eggs?
Yeah, no problem. I love it.
What they call?
Balut.
Yeah,
I eat it every time I'm in Philippines.
I tried once.
It's delicious. But the best way to eat it is like maybe 2:00 in the morning, middle of the night. You're kind of drunk. You go on the street. There's some really dodgy looking guy cooking these up fresh. You queue up. You get the balut. You break the top. You pour in a little bit of vinegar. You drink it, and then you eat the whole thing down. It's just delicious.
The first time I saw that was pretty intense, but yeah, is I'm sure is a great food back in the Philippines, and a lot of people they eat here as well.
Yeah.
This is something that there are so many food in our country also that it's kind of out of the world.
Which you don't eat.
I mean, I eat. I don't eat pork and beef mostly, but the rest I eat everything, whatever I can get. I want to try.
Yeah,
I want to try. So yeah, so which one would you say you like? All types of food, right? I saw your post when you were in Paris. I've been to quite a few places that I really wanted to try, man.
Yeah, and we, when we were in Paris, we mixed it up. So I say 50% of the time we just follow our instinct, drop in any lovely little bistro or brasserie nearby. We just go in and try whatever, and then the other 50% I kind of research pretty carefully. And what I'm always trying to find is not like the typical Michelin fancy. I want to find the things that really represent what people would eat if they lived there, or maybe they come from that neighborhood, or they, of course I want to have delicious and outstanding food, but it doesn't have to mean expensive or classy, right? So we tried a lot of things. We went to a restaurant that's over 150 years old, serving really only.
Where was it?
It's right next to Notre Dame, just across from Notre Dame.
150 years old restaurant.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the same recipe and same plates and same like.
Yeah. Even the guys who work there are 152. Same recipe, same thing. Basically, they make roast duck. That's their main thing. They have other dishes.
Roast duck in Europe.
Whole roast duck. Yeah, just like what we eat in Hong Kong, but French style roast duck on rotisserie. That means a spinning. So if you imagine back 1,000 years ago, people are fighting wars and stuff, and they would go out and get their bow and arrows, shoot a duck, and then get a rotisserie and roast it and spin it around. These guys are doing the modern equivalent of this till now. For the last 150 years, and it was amazing. It's absolutely delicious. Yeah.
So what they eat with the roast duck? They eat rice or bread?
No rice. Actually, I don't know what we ate with the roast duck. It was a whole duck, just two people. I think it's supposed to be for like 6 or 4.
Yeah.
So we mostly just ate all the duck. But they serve it in different courses. So the first course, you get a huge breast, all crispy on the top. And then second course, you get like the legs and the back part of the duck cooked in mustard sauce. And it was...
No, because usually I see in Beijing, they serve you in a... It's sort of pancake. Is that pancake?
Yes.
Yeah, the pancake,
yes.
Right? Yeah, in Hong Kong also same. Sometimes they serve with. I saw somewhere this do with the waffle.
Yeah, well, that's not duck. That's chicken.
Oh,
Usually,
yeah?
you
Oh,
could
okay.
have duck.
Waffle-
Actually, I'm lying. Duck and waffle is
Duck and
famous
waffle.
from,
Oh, yeah,
from
yeah. Duck and
London.
waffle, yeah.
Stupid me. Yeah, originally
Duck
from
and waffle.
yeah, started down in the Shard in London, down near the Docklands, and was very famous there. Now they have a branch in Hong Kong, and the idea is that I think it's based on chicken and waffle, which is a famous food from the U.S. And basically, they're taking like a fried duck and serving it together with the waffle, and you pour the syrup over both of them and eat it together.
Good?
It's
That's
delicious.
delicious,
Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, we'll fucking
It's-
swear everything.
Okay. Actually, I don't dare to. Yuki will be so mad with me. It's flipping
By the way,
delicious.
we're not going to edit anything. That's the whole idea. Because the title is called Unfiltered, so there's nothing filtered. No
But you
edit.
told me you were going to cut out the
no-
beginning part.
no
when I was
makeup.
talking. Remember?
Because that was me.
Oh, I knew I forgot something. I didn't put my makeup.
No, that's the thing. It's unfiltered. I told you, don't put any makeup.
Okay,
there's
okay.
no
So I got it
makeup,
right.
no,
This
no.
is, by the way, this is unfiltered whiskey.
It's no charcoal filter, nothing.
This
filtered.
is, it says right here, like, I think, did I read that right? Unchill filtered. So
Unchill filtered.
I wouldn't have bought it if it was a filtered whiskey because it wouldn't fit on this show.
Yeah, for sure. So, so can you just tell us about yourself? Like, like I think a lot of people who's going to listen, who's going to watch, like what you do, where you from? Because when I asked you the first time I met you, you told me you're from everywhere because you grew up in there, you studied there, and you work somewhere all over the places. But what do you like to call? Where are you from? Like,
Yeah. So I'm born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and spent the first 2.5 years of my life there. But sometimes it's challenging. If I meet someone from Ireland, I say, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm from Belfast, and they're like, "Why do you sound like?"
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So I grew up in Hong Kong. I was an expat brat. Came here in 1977. We lived in the Lee Garden Hotel
lived in a Lee Garden Hotel
for the first 6 months or so when we arrived because our block of flat wasn't built. But I mention it because I work in the Lee Garden Hotel now, except it's not called hotel anymore. It's called Lee Garden 1, but it's the same building, same location. So the place I work in 2022 is where I lived in 1977, which was kind of interesting.
1977. How was the Hong
1977.
Kong back in the days?
Totally different and totally the same, if that makes sense. So it was the same in the sense of crazy energy, lots of things going on, mix of East and West, mix of poor and rich, business and street level, all pushed together, just like now. But it was more of the Wild East. You know, when they talk about cowboys in the Wild West,
Yes.
It was like cowboys in the Wild East in those days. It was very unregulated compared to now. I always remember when you used to get a tram or a bus, there was no concept of queuing, right? People didn't queue up for the bus or the tram or anything else in those days. You just all rushed to the place when the transport arrives, like a big bowl of people, and then you push and shove and kind of try to get your way through and just try to get on. And one time, I think in Happy Valley, I was trying to get on the tram. I was about 5, 6 years old, maybe a little older. I had my little primary school bag on, and I managed to get onto the tram, and suddenly a minute later I was lying on my back on the street, and I don't know what happened on my back. And then I looked up and there was a little old grandma, and she had grabbed up and pulled me back and threw me onto the street to get onto the tram, and then the tram left.
that is a really wild east.
You had to fight for your life in those days, man. You know, the dangerous grandma.
And so you work in a Lee Garden. What do you do? In terms of work.
Yeah, so I work for the NBA, and then when people hear that, they always think I'm really smart, and then I have to tell them, no, I mean NBA, not MBA, right? As in the National Basketball Association. You know?
No, I asked you, give me the jersey of Michael Jordan. I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll come to that in a minute. As you can see, I have the typical body shape of a basketball player, which is why they came to find me. I'm tall, slim, very athletic. I can jump super high.
You can do dunk. Yeah, I saw that.
I have a video of me doing a dunk on my Instagram if you want to check it out. I really do. It's
What's
not
your
a joke.
Instagram? Maybe you can just share with
It's Spencer Douglas with 2 S's.
2 S's.
2 S for Douglas, not for Spencer. It's not Spencer, it's Spencer Douglas. Douglas, as my friends like to say.
The wonderful.
Thank you. So yeah, I work for MBA heading up programming and production, which basically means we support regional partners across all of Asia to produce content around the live games and assist with the delivery and broadcast of the live games. So it's kind of a weird
So
job.
let me stop you. That's why I was like, so you guys don't shoot the video.
We do sometimes,
okay,
but
okay.
not the game.
So, but it's just like arranging. So someone is shooting video. I just wanted to understand. So someone's shooting a video in America, and that's a live happening, and you guys broadcast in Asia. That's how it works? No.
Also, no. No. But basically, we just mess. Well, for me personally, we just kind of mess around, and no. How to explain? So imagine if you're sitting in Nepal.
Yeah.
In your
My
hometown,
my
your village,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And suddenly, like someone from America's like, right, we're gonna broadcast NBA there. We got a local TV partner. We're gonna put NBA, right? And so you're sitting in your village house, you're watching, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like a bunch of giant men crashing into each other, throwing stuff around, and some guy rabbiting on in a language you don't understand, right? So we would come in and we would get the village chief to come on it. Not really, but we would get a local commentator. We put together a studio show and we basically set it up so you could enjoy a completely localized live version of the NBA that you could enjoy, something like that. And then we repeat that for like 13 different countries in Asia.
In Asia.
Yeah.
I still don't understand.
So let's move on away from it.
No, so your work is a communication. Is what did you study? Let's.
What did I study?
Yeah, what did you study? What is your master in?
Law.
Yeah.
And languages.
Law and languages.
Very relevant, right?
How many languages do you speak?
This is a difficult question. So I studied a lot of languages. How many I actually still speak is debatable. You have to ask them from each country. But I would say, I originally studied Dutch, French, and Norwegian. But I taught myself some Cantonese, and I could read a reasonable amount of Swedish and Danish because they're similar to Norwegian. Yeah. My Dutch is still good. My French has become really bad, even though I went to French international school in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say because the question I ask usually when people study engineer, they want to be engineer, right? I know there is some sort of study. So if someone wants to be like you, what they have to study? I believe. Let me tell you. Let me speak for you.
Yeah, sure.
You have to travel and be Spencer, because no one can be like you. That's one thing.
Come on. I like it. I don't know. I mean, it's a funny one. So me and my brother, my formal degree is called European Studies, which means nothing. It was one of these random degrees they invented back in the 90s. Kind of sounds cool, work in the European Union. And the reason I chose it is because you get an extra year to decide what you want to actually study. So you could take more subjects and zero in, like the American system, where you have like electives, majors, minors, and you gradually zero in on your main qualification. So for me, I started very general, and then I locked into law and international law as my specialty because I got interest in that. But I didn't go to bar school. I didn't study anything further in that, so I have no further qualification in that area that allowed me to practice.
So you can fight for us if we getting in trouble.
Oh, I can. With my physical body, the great shit, I can come down.
No, not
I'm ready to take them on.
Legally, you can represent us. With your law experience.
No. No, I think I can. And even if I could, I don't think I would be a good choice.
Why do you think so?
Anyway. See, my brother also studied law, and he's a director of IT for, I don't know what company now. It used to be a very dodgy one, the Gazprom, the Russian gas government corporation. He was the director of IT for Europe. So, but now he's working for a startup company. So
that's a legit one, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I didn't pay enough detail.
And now it's a legit one.
He was in JD Sports before. That's like a sports company too, doing their IT. So but he studied law, and he doesn't know anything about law either.
He doesn't know.
No.
Same as you.
Same.
Studied in Hong Kong.
No, we studied in UK.
In UK.
So I was in London at UCL. And then I also studied a year in Holland at University of Leiden in 97 for 1 year. That's where I learned my Dutch. Should I speak some Dutch to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll sing you a song maybe.
Yeah.
What should I sing? Het is een nacht, die wordt bezongen in het mooiste lied.
Damn,
Het is een nacht. Sorry. It's a famous song from 97.
Really?
Yeah. I learned it for 1 year, and then somehow I still remember it till now. I don't know
I
why.
was born in 2000, so I don't know. Yeah.
Moving on. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone should have told me this is a teenager show.
So moving on, I see you have an interest in definitely food, drink. That's how actually we know. But did you see? Same 77, you were mentioning about the traveling experience, right? When you wanted to go to office or school or work, there was a hustling. What do you think about the food industry? What happened? Did it change anything? Does the drink culture change? Like there are more a Nepalese bartender, like back in the day, there are none. Like
Yeah. No, I mean now every bartender is Nepalese, so which is cool. There's no idea. No, it's interesting because when I was a kid, even say a teenager or whatever, like the dining scene in Hong Kong was totally different. We still had many fantastic restaurants, and there were good bars too, but just a very different style of bar, So at that time, it was mostly, of course, incredible local selection and super cheap, and they still had a lot of the push cart on the street.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of them in New Territory. You see them like sometime, but not. They're gone, right?
It's illegal. So what happened is since the 70s or 60s, the government put down legislation to make it legal because they thought they were unhygienic. I think it's related to like cholera and stuff. But for at least 20, 30 years after that, it was still very easy to find it. Where Times Square is now, the little road in between used to be all push carts. The whole road. Like
Whole
maybe,
road.
Yeah,
What
maybe
they
40,
sell over
50.
there? I know they sell that the quail egg, peanuts. Is that peanuts? No, walnuts. I don't know. The
Chestnuts.
Chestnuts.
Yeah. No, in those days they sell everything. So a lot of the casual Chinese restaurant you see today actually used to be a street stall. So for example, one of the most famous kind of noodle, we call it chai tai min. It means cart noodle. It actually means noodles that were made in the push cart. And those are the ones where you see lots of different ingredients you can add to that. Congee was
Like in
served on the
Thailand,
street.
right? Like
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Thailand,
Exactly, yeah. Some rice dishes like the glutinous rice with the preserved sausage and things, and all kinds of different foods. Like really a wide selection of stuff. Yeah, fish balls, of course, too.
Fish
and
balls,
those kind of
siu mai
things.
and stuff.
Yeah. Fried things and you could eat street food every day and not get bored. Like, yeah, it was pretty
in
amazing.
nearby Times Square.
Right next to Times Square, the
Right.
whole street. And what happened is they were all there selling, and they would have a guy on the lookout for the police. And the stalls in the old day, they're on wheels, they're wooden, and they can just close. You could just shut the top. Even if they're firing the water, burning everything up, you could just slam it closed and put out the fire and just go. So the guy's looking out for the police, and then he would come running and be like, Chayan, like the police are coming. And then everybody, like 50, 100, whatever many cart, they would just slam things and start running immediately, boiling water, spilling oil, and just running down the street, pushing it. And it's like every Friday, Saturday night was like that. They set up late at night, they sell, police come, they just run, and then, yeah.
How's your Cantonese? I just saw you speaking Chayan. Like, how's your Cantonese?
Oh, it's so bad. It's okay. I mean, my accent is off, but I can speak reasonable.
Yeah. You understand probably, right?
Yeah. I can speak pretty okay Cantonese. Yeah. You want me to sing you a
This is the
Cantonese
first
song
time.
as well?
Yeah, please.
Let me think. I don't know that many songs, but maybe I can think of one. Oh, the one I like the most suddenly gone out of my head. That's really annoying.
You kidding me? You know the Cantonese song?
A little bit, yeah. It was when it goes, "Che sang ya choi chun choi, che fan." I can't remember. Something
That's
like
not
that.
a
Yeah.
Cantonese song.
That's a chanting song. It's Leslie Chung.
Okay.
Or how about 原來我已經有福氣，天大地大於心不息。
I know the Beyond band.
Beyond, awesome, the
is cool,
best,
man.
right? 今天我看人類向處飆過
Yeah.
Something like this, right?
That is, man, the songs, we made that in Nepalese as well, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Beyond's.
I didn't
most of
know
the
it.
song, most of
That's
the song.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love Beyond. Incredible band, yeah.
Incredible band, man. It's not, when you look back now, I mean, definitely, for me, they're like pretty long time ago, since I was born in 2000. So the music is very catchy, very touchy, very emotional. As you know, I'm a very emotional person. Like I.
1 minute crying,
Yeah,
next minute want to break my arm. It's always emotional. Try to kiss me. And
But it's very touchy. Man, the music they have is so good.
Yeah.
Is it only I think, or is
No,
really
no,
good?
it's really good. And maybe we could just talk about that for a moment. So it's a very interesting thing. A lot of people nowadays don't know, but now when we look at entertainment culture in Asia, people look at Korea mostly, right?
Mostly.
Before Korea, they were looking to Japan mostly. It was like a center for TV shows and some music, so especially TV shows. But historically, the center of entertainment industry in Asia was not Japan or Korea, it was Hong Kong. And not just for music, but for film, for TV. So the film industry here goes back to, I think, the 30s, 40s, something like that, very long time ago. It was huge in the days of the Shaw Brothers, and they had a crazy library of films, like hundreds and hundreds of films. But yeah, right up till probably the mid-90s, Hong Kong was still the center of the film industry, but it was also the center of TV and music being exported. So for TV, it was TVB. TVB was distributed all over the world since like the 80s, which is crazy when you think about it. You could go to England and get some kind of like, satellite or early whatever bus and get TVB. They had TVB video stores in the center of London where you go rent all the TVB series
TVB,
and stuff. In those days, everyone. Now, hopefully no one, but no, I didn't. But the funny thing is, if you watch TVB now, it kind of looks almost exactly the same as in the 80s, right? The sets are, a lot of them are the same redress, but the same kind of building and the lighting.
Is those TV? There's how many channel we have from in Hong Kong? TVB, Star. There's a one with the Pepsi sign. It looks like a Pepsi sign.
Yeah,
what is that?
Pepsi channel.
No. There is some channel, right? I don't know.
Phoenix.
Yeah. There's few, so those are free, right? I only see them in a local restaurant, or either when you go to a hotel. When you just what do you want to watch, and you just put it
So free TV. Let me history of Hong Kong very quickly. So originally there were two companies in Hong Kong. One is called RTV, which means rediffusion television. Rediffusion, like they rediffuse it, send it out again. And two is TVB, right? These are the oldest channels in Hong Kong. RTV is older than TVB. Later, RTV went through, they sold the channel and they rebranded, they became ATV. Then it was ATV and TVB. At that time, there's only these channels. And the government then required all broadcasters to broadcast in English as well as Cantonese. So both of them have two channels. So TVB has TVB and TVB Pearl, which is the Cantonese, the main one, and TVB Jade, which was the other way around. TVB Pearl, which is English, the not main one, and TVB Jade, which is the main channel, Cantonese, right? And then for ATV, they had ATV Home, which was Cantonese, and ATV World, which is international. I can't remember the names for RTV. And so it was 4 channels only at that time. 2 in
right
English,
now, also 4,
Cantonese.
I guess.
Now, 4 free-to-air plus View TV, I think, have the 5th.
What is that?
No, View TV is big now. View TV is the new channel. They're like the hot channel in Hong Kong now.
Maybe I don't know.
VIU, View TV, yeah. VIU.
View. Okay.
And then they have like there's another channel that got a license, but I don't know if they broadcast, called like Fantasy TV or something, but I don't know if they ever broadcast. And then they have a lot of channels on cable, satellite, other things, Phoenix and I can't even remember the names. So like super many, but still probably the most people in Hong Kong who watch any one channel is still TVB till now.
Yeah.
ATV went bust, but they relaunched as a digital channel, and View is pretty popular as well. Yeah, View TV.
Yeah, VIU, right? I'm gonna watch that.
You gotta watch it.
I'm gonna VIU. I think someone that I know actually they do. I saw them in the View channel. I don't know.
Yuki. She was on a
Yuki
few
was in View.
Yeah, she did a cooking show on there a couple times.
I don't know Cici. You know Cici?
No. I know lots of people call CC, but maybe
but I don't know. I don't know the channel. I forgot the channel. There's
CCTV.
No.
Different channel.
That CCTV is a different channel, because it's fascinating for me, especially because I see when I was in our village, we had only one TV, and it was like I don't know, like 1,000 people in a village. maybe less than that. I don't know. No one count that time, right? So we have to go in one place to watch TV, and it was a black and white.
Is it like the tram in Hong Kong in the 70s? You just fight and pull the people
Yeah,
over and
yeah.
get the, yeah.
You have to fight. You don't have to fight. I mean, we were kids, so we just wanted to see. I don't know what it is. It's just something inside there. So like it's like full far, and you're watching the TV, and my grandfather's like, okay, we gotta get a TV. So we got a TV, black and white. But I was so hooked up with that, like crowd watching TV. So I never watched TV in my home. It was black and white, but I was like, always go to other people's houses to watch because it's more fun, right?
Yeah,
There's no TV. There's no more TV. There's like more people talking, it's just like it's so much fun at nighttime. You go over there, and then later on there was a VCR came, VCR, and they will show you like you buy 2 rupees. I don't know, back in the days maybe in Hong Kong dollar 2 cents. I don't know, and you pay there. You go inside and watch those movies, all types of movie, man.
Love it.
Yeah,
so cute.
You know the VCR, right?
Yeah. Of course, I had VCR when I was young.
If I you have VCR?
Yeah, of course.
I want to show it to my daughter actually.
Yeah.
How does a VCR look in the
You
real
can still
one?
buy it in Hong Kong. If you go to Sham Shui Po, you can easily pick up VCR
And
machine
the
and the
cassette as
cassette.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also have, in Hong Kong, we had a weird thing called laser vision. So it exists in the world. It was around the world, but it never became popular. But it was so popular in Hong Kong. It's a giant record thing.
Yeah.
That looks like a giant compact disc, like CD.
Yeah.
And then you play movies on it, like before DVD or anything, long time ago in like 90s.
Really?
It was so popular in Hong Kong. And you can go to Sham Shui Po and they have shops on the street only selling laser vision, boxes of laser vision. You can go and buy it and take it home, watch some laser vision.
How's your childhood spent in Hong Kong? You spent your childhood in Hong Kong or in
Yes.
in
Hong Kong.
Scotland?
No, in Hong Kong.
So you guys play around because I asked this question.
By the way, Ireland, not Scotland.
Oh, sorry.
Close, but not same. You know, it's
Sorry.
Like I'd be like, how's your childhood in Burma? Round about the general neighborhood,
I'm sorry.
No problem.
No, that was really. Oh yeah, Ireland. Yeah, Ireland. Okay, I'm just reminding myself. I knew that because you brought the whiskey.
Of course, that's true.
Yeah,
I should have
yeah.
bought Irish whiskey. You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
you bought the Scottish whiskey.
I let down my country. I let down my people.
And what I was saying was I got so embarrassed, like Scotland. So yeah, my childhood. When we were talking about childhood, because I was talking to one of my friend, Andre. If you're watching, man, shout out to Andre. Is a great person. He used to work in Hong Kong. I was sitting down with him in Sheung on some park in the city around. Like it's Hong Kong parks, middle of all the buildings. And I was asking him. I asked him how the children spend their like the fun kids memory in Hong Kong. Like they come down, everything's there. Like there's cars, there's buses, there's freaking everything. And for us, I remember we would get out from home without sleeper, just running away to someone's house who's fucking like 1 kilometer far, playing with some socks ball that I told you last time, and then come back home after a few hours. My parents doesn't even know where the fuck am I. Like it was like, oh, is he fucking still alive or is dead? And we come back home, we eat and do the same thing. But here, what is their memory? He give me so great answer. He's like, their memory is this. For them, this is their house. For them, this is their garden. For them, this is their, like you 1 kilometer. For them, probably not 1 kilometer, but for them, coming out from their flat to ground floor is a journey. Oh, that damn. So how was your experience
I'll tell you, man. So
in Ireland?
In Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
I was only in Ireland till 2, you see. So, although to be fair, we always go back to Ireland, and we did move back for short periods, like 6 months, 8 months here and there. But actually, I grew up most of my life in Hong Kong, right? And childhood in Hong Kong is a very interesting thing at that time. Actually, the way our parents raise us is not so different to how your parents raise you. Like my parents thought is like, okay, you're a kid. You need to be outside. You need to be with other kids. You need to be doing exercise and running around and being a kid, right? Nowadays it's very common, everybody doing tutoring and learning piano and learning this. But we're not like that when we were young. We were just like if I'm in the house, my mom is going to get angry. And if my mom get angry at some point, she might beat me. So mostly it's like just get out of the house, right? And homework, we have a little bit, but not too much. And in summertime in Hong Kong, when I was a kid, there's no aircon in any of the schools, so it's pretty hot. And
no aircon?
No aircon.
In whole Hong Kong? In schools?
No, in schools. I mean, we didn't have aircon until I was like maybe 13. But my parents don't want to pay for it. They're like, we can have a small fan, that's good enough, So we didn't have aircon home, but the schools didn't have aircon for sure, right? And so we just have a ceiling fan, and in summer it gets super hot, and you're like a little kid, like 5 years old or whatever. When it gets to the middle of the day, you theoretically you get a bit ill or whatever from the heat. So usually they let us go at like 12:30 in summertime. We finish school, right? So 12:30, imagine come home, my poor mom have to deal with me and my brother the whole day long. She's like, get out. So we go downstairs in the lift or stairs or whatever, and then we come out, and then it's like the wild world in front of us. And we have two choices when we get to the ground floor. So choice one is there's some like kids' playground in our flat, some nice area.
Back in the days, probably a lot of playground, I guess.
Yeah, the flats typically or nearby some government playground or simple thing, right? And we can go there and be like a good kid and play in the playground, go into swing and whatever. And then choice two is there's a wall, and the wall separates our flat from, the wild world of Hong Kong, right? And then if we would some help with our friends, we get to climb over the wall and jump out, and then we can do whatever we want, and right? Nobody can stop us. It's us, right? So we would climb over the wall, and then we just do anything. We go climb up in the mountains, and there's some old war bunkers and cave. We just get into the cave. Someone bought a torch he stole from his dad with some ever-ready 9-volt batteries, and we get in the cave, we crawl around, and then, or maybe we went the other side and we got like some toilet seats from some old building site or some cardboard boxes, and we sit on them, and we use the hillside as like a slide to shoot down the hillside, and then we roll off at the end so we don't crash
wild,
into the
childhood back then, even in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and kids from my school, they would go and like catch snakes and stuff. When we were by the time we reached 8-9 years old, a lot of kids were very interested in snakes. We'd go up in the mountain, we'd go and they'd find a snake, and they would catch it and take it home, keep it in like a small snake sanctuary thing, study it for a few days, and then take it back to where they found it and let it go again a few days later. No reason.
We used to also catch the snakes, but we kind of make them die in a pretty hard way.
Okay, don't tell me too much detail. I mean, we also have to kill some snakes like outside.
I'm not proud of that, but yeah. That was we were a child. Like I was, I think 8, 9, 8.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we had to kill snakes. Like sometimes you're outside your flat, and just some very poisonous that would come, like a cobra or whatever. And then
there's no cobra in Hong Kong.
There's cobra in Hong Kong.
Like wild one.
Yeah, wild one. Well, really? I don't know now, but yeah, historically there was for sure. Yeah, we have Chinese cobra actually.
Is a cobra is Chinese?
Yeah, he even speak Cantonese. No, he did.
Chinese cobra.
Yeah, Chinese cobra, man. Okay. There's no French cobra, but there's a Chinese cobra.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
It would be weird, the French and Chinese cobra. Hey, but how are you? Sorry.
I think
French.
Why you open your whiskey and you don't want us to share?
Well, I wanted to talk about the bottle actually, so I opened it because you couldn't open it. I was just being helpful.
Yeah, people know that, man. I need to cut that one.
Unfiltered. So actually, this is a very special whiskey. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. It's called Ledaig. It's spelled in a totally different Ledaig, but we pronounce it Ledaig. It's a Celtic word. But this is not made by Ledaig Distillery. This is made by Tobermory. Tobermory is a distillery on the Isle of Mull in Scotland. And Ledaig is a special whiskey they distill not all the time, maybe every 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. And the difference is that Tobermory is quite a light whiskey compared to other island whiskeys. It's not too smoky, it's not too heavy, it's a little bit sweet. And Ledaig is much more similar to some of the island whiskeys that people in Hong Kong be familiar with, like Lafroig or Lagavulin. So Ledaig is a very smoky, intense, full-flavored whiskey, only bottled from time to time. So it's already a bit rare. And then secondly, this is a special bottling from Robert Graham, which is an independent bottle shop in Glasgow that also bottled their own whiskey as well. So it's something very special. You'll never find this in Hong Kong.
Just for so everyone's information, they're not paying us. We're gonna drink it because Spencer has kept this one for like a few years.
About 4 or 5 years.
4 years. Now, he knew that's going to happen in future. So
yeah, I was waiting for this moment. Maybe one of your Oh, you're gonna. I'm scared because I have my headphones on and mine don't have wireless like your
There you
iPads.
go.
Thank you. That's for something else.
Oh, that's for something else? What do we have?
Yeah. You told me not to mention because it's product placement,
yeah.
but I might mention later anyway.
You want glass taxi or glass loop?
You want to try some? Humans in the background. Well, I have this. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Very high
This is-
quality glass and. Oh, it smells so good. Oh my God, I'm already so excited. One more?
No, share.
Okay. Okay. So this is for you, the very tiny, small little glass, and this bigger, more powerful one is for me. Cheers. No, I'm joking. It's just my favorite glass. I bought it from home. I love this glass. So, yeah. So when you're drinking whiskey, always take a good nose of it, but don't get in so close as like with wine. You know, depending on yourself. But really try to get some of the aromas. This one's a really like smoky, powerful, delicious smelling one. A little bit of tobacco maybe in it as well. So Spencer trying to be posh and whatever.
It's actually really smells tobacco, and I haven't been drinking for a week, and I'm not really I'm not a good fan of whiskey, and I don't have a good reputation of drinking whiskey and aftermath. Some people who's watching they know, but yeah, as I told you, I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah. So we're taking a big risk here. Well,
Cheers, man.
cheers, my friend.
Thank you very much.
I would touch your glass, but okay, we'll do it. It's like having dinner with the Queen, you know. We're like at the old royal table,
Yeah.
so far away,
That's the
right?
thing, that's the
then
thing,
you're
I was-
gonna ask me to marry your daughter, and I'll be like, you know, no, you're born in 2020, and I'm, you know. Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Like drinking tobacco, right?
Yeah, it's smoky, but it's not salty. No,
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. This one is interesting because it's so smoky, but it's also very light. It's not like a super heavy, full-bodied whiskey. The flavor, the finish is quite long, right? You can feel it still going. And the more time it spends in your mouth, it sweetens out a little bit, right?
What's the ABV?
It should be 40 to
40,
44 is the
44,
standard,
45?
unless it's cask bottled. Let me check. I should know this. 46.
Yeah.
A little bit stronger than normal, but yeah, pretty decent.
Great. Getting back to the conversation, so the childhood was tough. So you guys, we were there in catching snakes, by the way, and then
Yeah, but I mean, I love it. Like my childhood in Hong Kong was amazing. Like I never felt more free in my life than those early years in Hong Kong. It felt like we could do everything, and the rule was very similar to you. We leave the house, like we come home, we eat lunch, and then we leave the house. And the only rule is be back in time for dinner. Don't be late. If you're late for dinner, big trouble, right? So no matter how far you've gone, no matter what you did, don't be late, right? So once we're out the door, we can do anything. And there are crazy kids, there's adventurous kids, there's very naughty kids, there's every kind of kid, right?
give me the one experience of crazy kids one. Like
One? Too many. Okay, so for
no,
example,
the one was super crazy. I'm sure the guy is
still too many. But of the kid himself.
yeah, kid himself.
Well, I don't want to mention by name.
Yeah,
And
don't
actually,
mention the name, yeah.
he was not a good kid. Like he was a really bad kid, and a lot of trouble came to him later. But one day, for fun, in our block of flats, the mailboxes they're all collect together in one place, and they're made of wood, and they sit in the middle of the lobby. And for fun, he went around and set fire to all the mailbox in all of the block of flats. And it was like huge fire. And all the fire brigades came. And like, you know, there was like a high risk of death and injury.
And
And
how old was the guy?
8?
Wow.
Yeah. We had a lot of like troublesome kids. But talking about fires, so in my second block of flats, I live around 11, there was war bunkers right next to our flat. Those war bunkers now a wine cellar called Crown Wine Cellar, but they used to be war bunker. You could go have dinner in the war bunker now.
In Hong Kong?
In Hong Kong, in Shouson Hill area, around Deepwater Bay, Shouson Hill. And so we go down to the war bunkers, and one of the favorite things for like older kids to do, or even just not older kids, naughty kids, they would get a Coke can, and fill it with petrol and some other thing and make a petrol bomb. And then extend a long thing out of it and then set fire and then run away, and it will blow up in the war bunker. Obviously, it doesn't cause any damage because this thing is built to withstand nuclear bomb or something, so it can handle a kid's petrol bomb. But they always thought it was so funny, and they do it all the time. And one time we were down and we were going to walk through the war bunkers and just look around. They're really narrow and exciting. And we saw some young kids outside crying, and there's a lot of smoke coming out. And we said, "Oh, what happened?" And they said, "Oh, some other young kid, pretty young kids, went in to check out the war bunkers. And just before them, some of the older kids were there setting petrol bombs, and they didn't know. No one was hurt, but the petrol bombs went off, and the kids were lost inside the war bunker, and the whole war bunker is filled up with smoke, and they're choking inside, and they're not small. You could walk for 10 minutes inside or 50 minutes, get lost." So me and my friends who were maybe 11 or 10 years old run in searching through these 5 war bunkers to find these lost children who are choking to death for the petrol bomb and bring them out and save their lives, So we're.
I think that's more hardcore than us. Then we don't do those. We used to. We'll just play.
You were good kids.
Yeah, I mean we were like a naughty one, not these are pretty hardcore petrol bomb, man. We don't do the petrol bomb. We didn't even have a petrol, so there's no bomb.
You can steal the petrol from somewhere. You just find someone who's has a farm or anything, and just suck it out of their the tank from the tractor or whatever, or any vehicle there. We also, so there used to be an agricultural center near to our house, and when we were a little bit older, 13, 14, we would go and sneak down. So you climb down the mountain, you break into this place, and inside there they had a tractor. And we were 13, 14, we're okay, we want to learn how to drive. This could be cool. So there's no one around, so we just climb inside the tractor, and it had the keys there. We turn it on and just drive around. We learned a little bit driving from our older friends. They teach us how to find the biting point of the clutch. And so we're driving this tractor around the farm, doing nothing. And then one day we went back with my little brother and some other younger kids, and we got into the tractor and we started racing around the farm and having a great time. And then actually a guy was there, a security guy they never had before, with not wild dogs, but Alsatian dogs, like the police dog, that kind of dog. He come running and shout. We saw, oh my God, we stopped the tractor, jump out and start running. And he let the dogs go, and the dogs did, whoo, whoo. And anyway, me and my 2 friends got away. We're oh, thank goodness. And my brother was caught.
And then what happened to him?
I don't know. We ran away. We just left it. Sorry, Tim. So they caught him and they locked him up in a room, and they said they're calling police. And at that time, we didn't speak Cantonese, and he couldn't communicate with the guy. So the guy called one of the staff to come back to interrogate him, and they locked him in the room for a few hours, and they were telling him, "Oh, you broke the law, you've done very serious thing, you're going to go to jail." And he was just crying the whole time. And then after 2 or 3 hours, they just let him go. And, I just went home and hide and chill out and see if he'll come back. And eventually he came home. He was very shook up and stuff, and they let him go, and that's that. And then we didn't drive the tractor anymore.
That's the full stop for tractor.
Yeah, that was the end of the tractor.
So you guys also cycle here?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, we were on our bike all the time.
The smaller bikes.
Small bikes, right? BMX was in those days, but my parents didn't want to buy BMX, so we had a rally, old English bike, and then I traded with another friend for a pretend dirt bike, which was pretty funny. But he gave it to me because it has no brakes. The brakes were broken off. So we go to the
BMX doesn't have any brakes?
No, his one, the dirt bike he gave me. It's a huge, heavy bike. I was too small. I couldn't get on it. I have to jump onto it. I have to kind of jump over it, and then it has no brakes. So what I would do is I'd go to the top of the hill, jump on the bike, ride it down, and then when we get to the bottom, I jump off as quick as I can, and I try to run to stop it, but sometimes it's too fast. I couldn't just let go, and the bike go flying and crash into a gate, and then I kind of pick it up and then do it again.
Well, I mean, we used to. We didn't have the small bikes or BMXs. We have the bigger one.
Yeah.
They have the one stick in the middle.
Yeah.
So as a small, the cycle's pretty big. So you put your leg inside from that side. Have you seen that?
No, I just said yes, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
But do you know what kind of cycle is that?
I don't know. Can you show me a photo?
This is a legit cycle. I think. Let me show you. It's very, very. I don't know what kind of cycle is this. Is this?
You said it's big, so in my mind I'm imagining this very giant.
Buddha cycle.
Oh, Buddha cycle. I don't know what's the name of that cycle.
T-type.
Huh?
T-type.
Cycle.
Buddha cycle.
Buddha cycle.
Google.
Yeah, that means old cycle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So wait, they even have a picture. So this is the way I learn.
Oh yeah, okay. I see, because it's too big for
Too
you,
big
right?
for us. Yeah.
Yeah,
big.
yeah.
So you have to put through the like. put
Yeah,
inside.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Funny, yeah. No, I like it.
Yeah. And then I get to have another cycle, and that was the only one cycle.
Yeah.
And so everywhere I go, kids just follow me, like oh,
Wow.
the small cycle, and there was in colorful, like a red and yellow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I love it.
Yeah, but it didn't survive too long because
Okay.
everyone wants to try. So
Yeah.
eventually it end up in somewhere. It just gone. But so here there was a cycling. You guys go cycle. How far you can go cycle?
No,
like-
we can't cycle too far because everything is road, right? So you mentioned you're like 5-year-old kid, your parents buy you a cycle, they told you to cycle in this area, is nowhere. You of course cycle onto the road, but if you cycle too far, it's just too dangerous, right? Imagine 5-year-old kid racing down the hill we did too, but just a little bit, not too far, right? So instead we have some roads that lead into our block of flat. Usually it's up a hill, so we climb up the hill and then we ride the bike back down into the flat and to the bottom, so it's just not too far. If we want to go to town, we take the bus. So when we were like 5 years old, we have a little bit of pocket money. Like I think mine was like $1 per week or 50 cents, I forgot. And then we take our pocket money and we go to the bus driver and negotiate with him. And he said, okay, little kid, you can pay like 20 cents or something, or 40 cents. So we give him, the bus driver's name is Charlie, on the 24M bus. We give Charlie like 40 cents or something. And then we go to Kosi Bay, all of us, all the kid. Like 5 years old kid, maybe 5 of us, 10 of us, 15 of us, and we just go to Kosi Bay, and then we just hang around. Actually, the seating was 14 on the bus, so it can't be more than 14, but a bunch of us, and then we just hang out in Kosi Bay, walking around.
Those red or green bus. With
with green bus, yeah.
In New Jersey, they still use. I think they
Still
use
here, still here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine today, right? You go down to Kosi Bay on Tuesday to do some shopping, you walk around, and suddenly you saw like 14 5-year-old kid just walking around with no adult doing whatever they want.
No, you can't see that.
You think they're crazy. You'd be like, call the police, right? You know. Yeah. So we do it all the time. We don't even have anything. We just walk around Kosi Bay doing nothing, laughing and joking and playing games and stuff. Our parents have no idea. Yeah. If they knew we're in Kosi Bay, they would kill us.
This was, let me put the date, 82, 83?
Yeah, probably 1980 to 86, within that period.
You know, back in that time in Nepal, I wasn't there, but I was listening to someone's podcast. So they used to have a bike.
Yes.
And now there's the one of the busiest road, in Nepal. They can park on middle, literally. They can park in the middle. There's not enough. There was a car, like, rural family has some cars, some other general, whatever, the rich people. But you can park in the middle of the street and just go shopping and just walk around and come back.
Wow. You're living a very good life at the time.
No, I didn't. I heard.
No, them. Those guys with the car, right?
Can you believe that you park in the middle of the road and you just go and just no one care?
I love to see someone do that in Hong Kong and see what happened,
What happened?
Just park in the middle of the road in Central.
And just walk out.
Just walk out. Yeah. Cool, people go crazy. That's funny.
Yeah, I think right now that changed the in terms of, and I find very different now when you said the childhood was that is pretty hardcore childhood in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
you guys grew up.
It was very free. It was, even till we were like, okay, by the time we were 14, we were always drinking, all the time drinking. We were like, I think I started drinking like 11, 13 already going out. 14, I'm out like every week. But apart from like drinking and stuff, we're like really crazy even. So, for example,
by the way, we should not drink until 18.
Oh yeah, that's illegal. This is us before.
Okay. Yeah,
don't come to like tell Camellia if you're 11, right? It's not allowed. But we are not endorsing underage drinking, right? We're just talking about the past history of some badly behaved children, But so they had like another area when we moved house again. There's an area nearby where they had like some old grass pitches. They were not used anymore, and they had a lot of strange laws in Hong Kong where if the land is not used, they put a gate around it and lock it up. And you know,
And
usually
they write down government
don't go
property.
government property, yeah, cut off. And usually it's for some reason, like they have some development coming up or something, right? But in those days, there was a lot of unused land all the time. So this was like a huge, like kind of like football, rugby pitch, or whatever, some kind of pitch was just not used. And it had been sitting there for like 5, 6, 7 years not used. So one day we were like, oh, like, we should just go here and play. So one kid, his dad had a bolt cutter. So they just got the bolt cutter. We cut the lock. And then every week we just go and play rugby there with all of our friends, you know. And we carried on like that for about 2 years until one day the police came.
Really?
And then we like, the neighbor saw us. So someone
They
from
come
far
from
away
probably,
complained. But I mean, I say neighbor, they were really far away. Like this place is not, even now, you can still see that area is really far away. It was near Tai Hang Road. But yeah, we just go there and just play. We just make our own way there. I used to be very famous among my friends in Hong Kong. I never wore shoes till I was like 14. I even went to school without shoes on sometimes.
Are
I
you kidding?
really hate wearing
Yeah?
shoes. Yeah, they sent me home from school twice for not wearing shoes. But I used to walk from my house to Kosa Bay with no shoes. By the time I was like 10 years old, I just walked everywhere. So it's about 30 minutes walk to Kosa Bay, 30, 45 minutes. I just walk from my flat and just walk all the way to Kosa Bay, no shoes, and walk around Kosa Bay. And this is a true fact. In those days in Hong Kong, it's very common for people to spit on the street anytime. And there's a lot of pollution and rubbish. When people clean restaurants, they just throw the dirty water at the
On
door.
the street.
And we don't have, I mean, they had street cleaning, but not like now. The very clean Hong Kong now is mainly because of SARS in 2003. They started really cleaning everything up. So yeah, I just walk around my barefoot in these filthy areas all the time. So one of my best friend, Kelvin, a music producer in Hong Kong, and he said to me once, he thought like that I had something wrong with my feet because they were so black all the time, like some condition or something. And only one day, many years later, when I washed my feet one time and he saw it, it was like, oh, they were just filthy the whole time. Like I never wear shoes.
You were in
Run on the
school.
rocky thing. So in my first school, British school, I have to wear shoes. And very smart shoe like Clark's, whatever. But when I went to French school, they don't have uniform. They're kind of laid back. Sometimes I just go to school with no shoes, or I got to school and just
No
take my shoes
shoes.
off. And I got in trouble. My chemistry teacher sent me home twice for not wearing shoes. Yeah.
When we were studying, when I was learning karate in Nepal, then that's the first time I think that we have to run like a few kilometers without the shoes. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that, man. It's hard.
You just said no.
Yeah, no, we did that once, and I was like, okay, this is because it's a grappling rope. We don't have the pitch like here, so we would just have to run on the stones or everything mud. So it's like that's it's not good for our feet. And I was like, okay, well, we're not gonna do that. Okay, we'll change it.
So I was voluntarily doing it, and you were
Yeah.
avoiding it. No,
I think that we got inspired from your action in Hong Kong.
You used to be the world champion of karate or something, right?
No. That was a different person because the
But
person
you were pretty good at karate though, right?
No. I did a lot of martial arts stuff, but I wasn't good at anything, man. I was good at anything. The only thing I was good at, and still good at, eating. Eating, yeah. I can eat the most amount of food, man. Like I can do go for an eating competition and
those like challenge.
any challenge, spicy food challenge.
Yeah.
A big portion. Maybe I don't know, like 2 kilo of rice, those kind of stuff. Yeah, this is real. that is real. I can't do that. I can't do that. So that was the childhood. Then you grow up. I'm sure you become more handsome by the time because you have to join eventually NBA and
clean my feet. And,
clean your feet. How was your high school and college? Also in Hong Kong?
Also in Hong Kong. So not college, right? So up till high school, I was in Hong
Because
Kong.
I tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
I think Suman and Bipesh probably know or not. When I finished my 10th grade, which is called Form 5 here, so when I was going to 11, 12, back in the day, that was a college.
Oh,
But now,
I see.
they said it's a high school. Is it the high school one time? Like 11 and 12 is a college or high school? Now they call high school. So even the school provide 11 and 12. So I was like, oh, I studied in college. When I tell, and now I was like, That's not college. Oh, that's like high school.
Well, we have something in UK called sixth form college, which is you do your final 2 years in a kind of special school like called sixth form college. And then normally for us, high school is American term. Like we usually say primary school and secondary school.
And then it's Form 5, right? And what is after Form 5?
No, so usually you do like primary school, secondary school all the way to Form 7, but we didn't call it Form 7 then. We call it upper 6, lower 6 and upper 6.
Now they changed. I think a few years back, I was just talking to one of my friend who is a lecturer at university. His name is Gagan. I think we have the podcast. So he was explaining to me those terms, but again, I'm not that smart, so I don't remember.
Come on. Don't say awful things about yourself. But yeah, so I went to British school first, South Island School. Now it's more like international school, but in those days it was really a British school, part of the English Schools Foundation. And it was great. It was cool, but I didn't love it. And then I got in a little bit of trouble. And then they said they were considering asking me to leave the school. And then I wanted to go to boarding school in England to get tougher and get ready for the MBA or whatever. But my mom really wanted me to be here. And then she called up her friend who was the headmistress of the French school. And they said they could, do some tests and maybe give me a place. So I ended up going to French school. And maybe it sounds weird, but it was some of the best years of my life. I really, really loved it there. I was in the English stream, so it's really an international school there. But I had a super good time. I made some of my best friends, and we caused so much trouble, but in a good way. Like nice kids causing trouble, not bad kids causing trouble. And the cool thing about the French school is we were a very small school at that time, and especially English stream was just like in my last year, we had 9 kids only in our class. So we made friends with every other school. We were friends with the German school. We were friends with lots of local school. We were friends with like American schools, Singapore school, British schools. We know all the kids from every other school. We were very social. We go to every party. We go to every activity. And we just had a great time.
I was asking about the house parties. I was asking about the house party. Getting back to our drinking thing, like we... people say that we don't know how to drink. We just have to get drink. Even everyone, most of us. I'm not representing our Nepalese people for each of us, but most of us, when we get drunk, we don't know how to socialize. But that's not true. But I was like, you know why? Because why it happened? Because we don't have a house parties, man. If we in our country is a house party, then we will learn in a better way. Just kidding.
But house parties were a legitimate thing in those days. So imagine, like, in the old days, you were in Hong Kong. So my father was an engineer, right? And his job was to head up new towns building in Hong Kong, right? And he was assigned to several projects. Those projects was Sha Tin, Chung Kwan O, Mount San, City One, and I always forget. And Disneyland at the end as well. In some cases, in the later year, he was even the senior engineer heading up that project. That means building the whole city, right? So, you go to Sha Tin today, and there are roads and buildings and things my father helped to work on and get them built. How, when you're sitting in Hong Kong, which was quite a far distance in those days, and you don't have the local expertise, how do you bring someone over here to build a new city or to set up the hospital system or to organize different things, right? So they would, provide some accommodation, maybe give you some flights to go home and see your family once a year, that kind of thing. So it was quite normal in those days for a lot of professionals coming here. They have a good-sized house, So when we got a little bit older, and in the beginning, we never stay at home. We just go out. Big house, small house, we don't care. We just want to be outside and playing and having a great time. But when you get a little bit older and then you realize, like, I have this nice house that my parents live in, and then they're out or they went on holiday without me and abandoned me in Hong Kong or something, how about I could, have my own party? So we have a lot of house parties, and mostly without our parents knowing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then what happens is our parents go out, and then we invite everyone to our house, and we have a big party, and then we kick them all out by like 10 or 11 o'clock, and they go to like Lan Kwai Fong or Wan Chai or whatever, or just sit on the street drinking 7-Eleven beer, and we clean up the house the best we can so our parents don't know, and then we go join them, right? So it's like a kind of a very strange lifestyle at that time, a little bit spoiled, a little bit exciting, a little bit free, breaking all the rules, but kind of harmless but kind of naughty. And also, like, it's quite common, like, when we were younger, like, most of us get jobs in the summer. So, like I said, we get some pocket money from our parents, not too much. And then when it's summertime, they will ask us to get a job and start working so we can be more responsible. But it's, like, illegal to work in Hong Kong below 16 at that time. So we're like 13, 14, and we had to find some illegal jobs like doing delivery or pushing beer carts or sometimes removal service, or I did some work as a construction worker or this kind of stuff.
Underage.
And yeah. Start from for me for 14, some kids younger. And then every summer till I left Hong Kong like that. And even later in school, we quite often do jobs like in East or other things, because I think all our parents think the same. In their own country, they're just working like as a professional or maybe as a policeman or something else like this. And then they come to Hong Kong, we have this beautiful flat and some other benefits, and they don't want us to grow up feeling so privileged and like we can do everything. And, so they just give us a little bit of pocket money, and then when we're older, they want us to work and be responsible. But it also means like we're pretty good at looking after ourselves. So when we get to like 16, if we want to use our money to travel by ourselves and go to another country and visit an old friend from Hong Kong who left, they would give us permission. So I could fly to France when I was 16.
16.
Yeah, even when I was 14, I asked to take a course to study French in France because I was going to French school and I was finding it very hard. So my parents said, okay. And they write a letter to some French family who offered to support you for a small amount of money. And then they put me on the plane, and then I land in Paris, and then I flew to La Rochelle, and then I meet this family, and then I live with them for like 3.5 months, being a French kid in a French town in France, and then after 3.5 months, I fly home, and my mom crying and so happy to see me. And a lot of kids here would go to boarding school, even from very young, even like 8 years old. So they're always like on the plane and going back to England to study, and then come back in the summer. So we're quite free, like we get a lot of responsibility.
I think that is very important to let the kids do. But I don't know, nowadays is if the kids can be a danger even when they're home, right? The phones, internet is everything is in their house. They're on their hand. So it's very important for as parents to let them do what they want to do, I guess.
I mean, everyone has to make their own decision, right? We also get in some trouble. Like, I'll tell you a crazy story then about the life in Hong Kong in those days. So especially in the age like 14 to 18, when we start going out and being around town. So like I said, we have some jobs, we have a little bit of money in the summer, but we don't have too much money. So we can't it's not like nowadays you see people go to all the fancy club in Lang Kwai Fong. We were just trying to find anywhere would let us in when we were underage, and two, we can afford to have a few drinks, right? So normally, in those days, Chim Sa Choi is the cheapest place to drink, so we always all take the MTR and we go over to Chim Sa Choi, and then we find some bars that are like not very strict on door policy. And like me, I grew a little beard when I was 14 years old and buy some John Lennon glasses to look like an older guy. And then
John Lennon glasses.
And then we go in and we get our money, and they have some deal like 50 Hong Kong dollars and as much as you can drink for 4 hours, right? Then we go in there, we pay the $50. And then we just drink the whole time, right? But there was like in those days, in some of those dodgy bar and back alley of Chim Sa Choi is a bit dangerous, or Jordan or Chim Sa Choi East, and they have a lot of triad gang at that time. So like especially Chim Sa Choi East, they have like a lot of like clubs and things run by triads and for businessmen and other things. And sometimes they would send like the younger kids, like younger brother triads or new triad kids, and they would ask them, just go find some of those like Western bar and start a fight with some kids there. Because, we played a lot of sport at school. We were very active. We were kind of, energetic. And in the local school, they didn't have as strong a sports program in those days. We all played rugby. We were pretty rough, fighting all the time. So they're like, okay, these kids don't go to gym. They're not that tough, but they're becoming triad. They have to kill people later. So they would send them down to toughen them up and say, go start a fight with these kids. So we'd be in the bar drinking, and then maybe one kid will come out or a few of us come out. They usually have narrow staircase, quite dark, because they don't want police to find underage kids there. And then we come out, and then as we walk in the door, some guy would just hit the first guy in the head with a piece of wood or kick him, and then a few guys start beating him up right away. And then we run back into the bar, and we start shouting, and we're like, the triads are here, the triads are here. And all the school kids, all of them will all start to run out of the bar to fight them. Not to run away.
Not to run away.
Every school, like maybe from rival Kowloon school, and then normally we hate each other and we play against each other in sport and we're not friends at all. But when the triad kids come, we all join together to help each other out, and everybody, and the staircase is so narrow, they're pushing to get out to fight with them. And then no mobile phone in those days, right? So when there's too many kids come out, and just a few of those triad guys, they would run to find a phone box, and put in the $1 and then phone their triad boss and be like, "Oh, there's too many kids. You send more guys over here." And then they start arriving with some vans, a black van, and the back door open, and more of these young triad kids running out and then fight with us. And then we usually in this one back alley, quite famous back alley, we all fighting, like could be 20, could be 100, like kids and these triad guys just fighting. And then eventually the police come, and then all the triad guys run away, and like they just disappear like super fast. And then it's just like a whole bunch of like kids in an alleyway, like a bit bleeding, a bit messed up. Some of them still manage to get a beer and just hanging out in the alley looking a bit messed up. And the police come down and what's going on? "Oh, nothing, sir."
That was a pretty hardcore experience. Yeah.
It was pretty common though. Like anytime, any week it could happen. It was a very different life, the Wild East.
The Wild East, yeah.
Cowboys of the Wild East.
You're kind of proving me that was a Wild East.
And in case it's an interesting thing because I talked a lot about this with some friends I grew up with. And I said, it's funny, nobody documented these crazy days in Hong Kong when we were kids and we don't know what's going on. And many years later, that same kid was asked to star in a movie written by two other kids who grew up in Hong Kong more recently, not so recent, still like 20 years back, and document this story. And they actually made the film. It's low budget, it's independent, so it's not like the best quality production around. But the film really tells a little bit of the story of those times and what it was like.
I know the movie called Young and Dangerous. Have you watched that movie?
It's an amazing movie. There's a different level though. There's a local one.
Yeah.
That's
a real gangster.
It's a real gangster. It's a really great movie. Really great movie. This one is called Stories Forlorn, like lost stories, or not like I don't even know. Like forlorn is like someone who's like abandoned and alone. But yeah, it's really interesting. It was so different time of life at that time.
Man, I think you lived a lot of life in Hong Kong compared to us, and that's why I always tell you, if I always come to you if I need some sort of suggestion, you've always been helpful for me. So what do you think? What do you think? There's the future now after everything probably is going to end. Are we going to shift to a near way of living? Do you think so?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Hong Kong, unfortunately, for better or worse, the old way of life is changing. It's already changed a lot over the years, but I think the amazing thing about Hong Kong is it always maintains its own energy, its own character. There's a huge amount of creativity here. You look at during this COVID time, right? Should be everything is closing and business going bankrupt and everything is over, but instead, like you're seeing like even more places opening. F&B is so many different places. So people are like, "Oh, the rent is cheaper, I'm just going to get my place." Lots of designers, lots of young kids doing stuff. It's really an amazing place. I love Hong Kong so much. When I grew up here, I lived as an international kid in Hong Kong or British kid here. As an adult, I had a more local life here. I worked in Mong Kok, I worked in Prince Edward before I taught myself some Cantonese and so forth. I just think it's an amazing place. And I do feel a little bit, sad and worried for the future. It's not anything very negative, but more like I don't want Hong Kong to become just another city like everywhere else, part of Greater Bay Area, a business center. And, I really hope that Hong Kong will maintain its unique character, the people, and their way of thinking will carry forward. I think there's not many places like this in the whole world. It's we used to say when we were kids, you go overseas during the summer months to visit your family or other things in your home country, or when we're at university, and then when you fly back and you're coming over the harbor, the old days to Kai Tak, right? So we come in, go to the Manila, do a crazy turn, come over the building, land on the super short runway, right? But when you come in and you see all the buildings in front of you, and then when the plane door opens and you step out into the roasting hot, humid air and everything, it's like you can feel an energy. You can feel something. It's like I'm home, but it's also like more than that. You feel something is going to happen. Something's going on. There's always something here. It's so energetic as a place,
I think there's always, Hong Kong is always super amazing. Like you travel around the world, it has a different kind of vibe. That thing that's what attract a lot of people from around the world. and people live here. They come for 1 year, 2 years, and they're like, okay, I wanted to move here.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. It's because of, the city. The people around city, the food, you can count anything. Like this is the city. I was just keep on telling people, Hong Kong is the only place in the world, hopefully, probably in the city, that you can hike, camp, swim, beach, party 24-hour, everything.
Everything.
It's everything here.
Everything
And you
is
don't
here.
have to travel like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1 hour travel. You can literally go anywhere.
Yeah.
Most of the places.
Yeah, I did a video series for Hong Kong Tourism Board once, and it was like 24 hours in Hong Kong. And we create 5 different journeys for people with different interests of what they can do in Hong Kong in 24 hours if they don't sleep, right? And it was pretty amazing. Like, even for me, when I really look in detail, I'm like, everything is here, and it's so close. You know?
You just remind me, Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain.
The chef. You should do that kind of series, man. You just go to these different places around the world, and then you eat, and it's so good.
I'd love to.
That guy is
he's amazing. Yeah.
He was amazing. Sadly, he was so good. And then I think I see you in that, not the end, but the things he did for the food industry. I think you can be the perfect person. If you're doing it in Hong Kong, let me know, man. We can go together. We can make a video of getting going to different bars and getting
smashed.
For fun people to get smashed.
I love to. Anthony Bourdain will get like 2 million views per episode. We'll get like 2 views per episode. But I'm still keen. You know what I mean? I love to go.
The same thing, I think. When we start this podcast, also, it's not about how many people are gonna watch. It's like I always wanted to have a chat with the people. Like I always like to talk to people, but I wanted to invite people in actually and record it. And let's say maybe we're talking about, as you said, there's no one documented what happened in 1977, like in your time. Same thing, we're just documenting what's happening right now.
Yes.
On our conversation, and you go back 20 years later, it will be always there.
Yeah.
And you look at yourself, you're like, that motherfucker.
That's it, man.
That's it.
That's right.
I want to ask you about. Can I ask you about your love life?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
How do you meet Yuki? How do you meet Yuki?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, my beautiful lady is a famous food blogger here, food and drink blogger. Her Instagram is Yuki Mary Rose L. Hopefully I got that right.
No, recently changed the name.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It was like something like the Spencer Yuki or something. No, it was for a Valentine's Day. Yeah. It was. See? But it's the real one is Yuki.
Yuki Mary Roselle, yeah. So, how did we meet? Actually, I never went into it, but before I used to work in a little bit around filming stuff. I had my own production company, a little bit of talent management, some music stuff, like around, just different things that interest me. And I was working with a particular band at the time called Metro Vocal Group. They're a a cappella band, very talented a cappella band in Hong Kong, Western guys singing a mixture of international music and local music, so including Cantonese and Mandarin songs, including Beyond songs. We had a little bit of a hit with their version of Beyond song before. And I was working as their manager at the time, and Yuki was hired to do like PR and marketing for them. And I went to their office the day after they hired her. And I met her for the first time, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to date this girl. And she said I was staring at her so, like, weirdly, like, the whole time we were having a meeting and everything, I was just, like, staring at her. And after that, I started going to their office, like, every day. Before, I would, like, maybe once every 2 weeks. And I was going after a while. And she was, like, kind of like, oh, my God, who is this weirdo? And he kept coming here all the time. And, like, he's very annoying. And he hang out even after they left and keep talking to me. And then one day, after a while, I was like, okay, I'm going to ask her out. So I just asked her out. And she was like, no, definitely not. I'm not going to go on a date with you. I was like, oh, how sad. So then I found out.
You're sad?
I was super sad. Right? I was like, but I just I'll just try again, right? So then I found out we have a lot of mutual friends, and she loves live music. I love live music. And there's a certain bar, Pio Fresco, where I used to hang out
She sings
years
as well.
ago.
She sings
very well. And And so I just start going back to those old haunts. I used to recontact my old friend that know her and just make myself around all the time, right? And then after a while, she loosened up a little bit and let me join her for some events and stuff, but no one-on-one hanging out. And then I asked her out again, and she said, no way. I would never date you. I don't like you. I don't find you attractive. Don't bother me. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I just carry on and keep trying. And eventually we did go for some dinners. And then I asked her out again. And then she was like, absolutely not. I don't even like you at all. You're so annoying. And continued like that for, I think it was 18 months, about 1.5 years. Yeah. And reject me formally 5 or 6 times, very clearly and directly, and informally, like many more times, just discouraging me and telling her friends and telling me to get
like,
off.
I'm not gonna give up. I'm the guy who traveled walking without the shoes, man.
Shoes. This one, I don't know why, but this girl, I got this feeling is for me, so I just, and eventually after 1.5 years, she said yes, and now we've been together for almost 11 years.
11 years, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, it's a good story, good story. And it's a real story. This is
real
the one.
Story.
This is the one. This is the good one.
All the others were fake. This is the real one.
I don't know about the without shoes one. Yeah.
It's true. I mean, you should get my friend Calvin on the show. He's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I met him. I met him once.
He's triple platinum producer in London, certified, right? And he had many top. You got to think about it as a half African, half white guy in Hong Kong with a bunch of top 10 hits in Asia.
Yeah.
It's. But anyway, he backed me up on the nose shoes.
No shoes one, right? So you guys been together for 11 years. What do you think? How do you tell younger generation about? Like you met the ladies. I think it's happened to me as well when I've been married for 11 years. Yeah, same. You just know, right?
Yeah.
Should we look for it or you just know?
No.
No, because nowadays I do also a free advice on if someone's looking for boyfriend, girlfriend, I give them advice as well. Yeah, that's my. That's my.
I think there's 2 different feelings, right? For me, if I look back, right, I feel attracted to a girl because she was pretty or whatever, and there's that feeling of like a fire inside, a different kind of feeling, right? And of course, you're going to be attracted to that person too, and sometimes the feelings might get a little mixed up together, but there's a kind of a different feeling, right? It's like, if I was in a bar or club years ago and I saw a beautiful girl and I thought, oh, I really want to talk to her, I'll go and try and chat her up and maybe we end up dating for a little bit or maybe not, right? And that's it, and it's fine. And if she reject me, I won't mind and I'll move on with my life, right? But like something like what happened with Yuki is like I saw her and I couldn't even process. I wouldn't say I was always love at first sight or anything so complicated. I just look at her and I have this feeling like I can't stop looking at her. When I go home, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I want to call her, get her number and call her right away. I don't even know her and I just wanted to hang out with her. It was so funny. And then when I talk to her more, when I get to know more, everything just fits me perfectly. It's like, I don't know what it is. It was almost like an instinct that let me know this is going to work. This is going to work so good. And we have so much of the same interests. We have so much of the same things we enjoy, but we are totally different people, which is kind of perfect because like she always tells me she's an introvert, which I contend is still a lie till now, but she's,
No, she is not. I think I know her. Like we brother and sister relationship. Is now right now. She is not the person who's gonna go and talk first.
Yes,
that is for
so
sure.
True.
Yeah, that's
very
for
true.
Sure.
And she likes staying home and she has a lot of interest. She's very funny, right? Because she is social and she works in food and drink industry and she's, as I say, quite famous influencer. But she loves to go home and do like stitching stuff or like really like old people's thing. Like, sorry, Yuki. But she enjoyed this focus thing, drawing, painting, and and me, I love to be out and socialize all the time and be around people. But like I said, we have the same interests and totally different approach, and it just matched so well. And we can talk about anything. And I think this is the key. I learned this from my parents. My parents were married for 53 years. And in my wider family, Irish family is very big, right? Like my mom and dad's families, they come from like 8 brothers, sisters, this kind of thing. So many cousins, like hundreds of cousins. In my wider family, there's never been a divorce. No divorces in our family ever, right? And I think the reason is very simple is that my parents are very traditional Irish people, most of my cousins too. They just communicate a lot, right? So They would have fights. They'd be very emotional, get very crazy, things go wrong, but they always communicate, and they have those old-fashioned points of view, like don't let the sun go down in an argument. Actually, the sun did go down because they're drinking till 2 a.m. But but technically, so before sleep every night they would talk. They would sit on on a balcony or in a room or in a garden or anything they can find and sit together and just talk every single night, every night for like 53 years. Just talk. And what happens if you communicate always and every day, and you always make sure to have that? Then even if you had a bad day, a good day, you had a fight, you had a wonderful time, you're gonna solve every problem. And on the good days when it's great, you're going to maximize the joy and the love, right? So, I think it just makes such a difference.
Right? Yeah. If whoever listening, they gotta talk. If there's any problem, just talk, right? Yeah. Ask them, just talk. Yeah. But what is your so do you do meditation?
No, but when I was younger, it's so weird. I have a very odd life. So I never mentioned, but I did live in a lot of different countries. I also had like a period where I was like, what is the meaning of life? What is
yeah.
So I am.
What is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning of life?
Let me say it. What is the meaning of life?
42.
What is that?
It's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You have to watch it. It's amazing. They solved the meaning of life. It's 42 is the answer.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm gonna watch that.
But I went through this period where I was like really trying to find something and find what's going on in the world. And so I joined a lot of different religions. And I was very serious. Yeah. Like I got baptized. I used to wake up in the morning, read Bible at 6 a.m. every morning. I'd go pray in the park and stuff. I didn't throw myself as deeply, but I studied very carefully in Buddhism, Taoism. I bought a copy of the Quran. I read it, back to front a couple of times. I engaged with a lot of different people. I tried to understand there. Then I went very spiritual, learned how to read tarot cards. I learned how to, I did a lot of meditation, wake up every morning, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I went like super hardcore vegetarian.
So you did that?
Yeah.
How old are you at that time? Like, what was your age?
Start from about 19. And then I would go back and forth between being a very normal guy and being a very like crazy and one-way guy up till about 32, 33. I would just have period. So like I went super hardcore vegan back in the day, like even more than vegan, like where every item I ate, I need to know where it comes from, that it's super fresh produce, ideally should be from a farm or special produced this. I would eat like, spelt bread and sprouted grains and everything, right? For about a year and a half. I quit drinking twice in my life, once for 3.5 years, once for a year and a half. I went through long meditation periods, but like after, and what it was, I read the story of Buddha, right? So you think of the guy like, he was originally a prince, right? Gautama, I forget his original name, and later changed it to Buddha. And he was one of the Kshatriya, the prince class in India.
No, he's not from India.
Okay, we'll say he's from Nepal, but in those days, is whatever. He's from this area.
It's from Nepal.
Okay,
literally,
from Nepal.
We can cycle from my Lumbini.
Lumbini, okay. And then he had this incredible life where he started by trying to indulge himself, right, eating, drinking, maximizing everything, and then later he went into a very ascetic life, really almost starving himself and having such a bare lifestyle. And then under the Bodhi tree, he found the middle path, right? So I always thought to myself, like, if I go to the extreme and I try everything, maybe I can find the right answer in the middle of it all, right? And I think in the end, I never found the answer. Like I tried a lot of things, but what I did do is I found more of myself. Does it make sense? Like in those times, I was trying to find something outside and really, really trying hard and pushing myself. And later I just found a satisfaction inside that I didn't feel I need to find anything anymore.
The question I ask you this one because I see you always as like this. You don't have your makeup on. You're not gonna be a person who's gonna be okay. Let's talk to this guy because he's popular. Let's not talk to this guy because he's no one. And you always keep that. Always. I'm not talking about like when we drink. When you always keep that. You're talking about energy. The Hong Kong has that energy. When you get here, you feel that's what you have, that kind of energy. Like you give that vibe to people. You're welcoming. You crack some jokes around, and I don't know. Jokes can be sometimes like I do a lot of jokes, man. My jokes are bad. I have to tell you. I have been banned to make a joke on anything with a lot of people, but it's again me. I'm not gonna stop. Yeah, but you do a lot of jokes as well. The first time I met you, also making a joke about the Gorkhas and stuff.
So sorry, man.
No, it's fine.
Risking my life just to make a funny joke,
Is you're making a joke about a lot of Nepalese and you know a lot of Nepalese people, but you have that. So where do you get this from? Like you do meditation, you do like a 100 pull-up or every morning, like.
Hey, when I was a kid, I used to do 100 pull-up every day. That's a fact. It's a fact. You can't believe it. You look at me now. It sounds so crazy. I'll go down to the bus stop to get the school bus, and I arrive early, and there was a very strong pipe made of metal, really strong, and I would count and do 100 pull-up every day for years, for like 4 or 5 years. I have no idea why. It was like a thing. I used to be very into working out at a gym many, many years ago. But to answer your question, like when I was a kid, I wanted to help everybody. It's really weird. Like every kid's different, right? And like my brother's very sporty. He wanted to win a lot of sport games. And my sister's very arty and very sophisticated in a way. And I wanted to be people's friend, but more than that, I wanted to help people. I hated seeing a poor person, a person in difficulty, a person in pain. I hated it. I wanted to help. And I tried to help out some kids at school, but maybe I didn't pick the best kids to help, right? Some kids struggling with his schoolwork, I try to help him out because I thought I'm being helpful. Then he would just say, do the schoolwork for me, right? Or something. And then I kind of didn't manage myself very well. I ended up getting bullied a lot. But I wasn't upset that I was bullied. I was upset that I couldn't sort things out, right? I couldn't figure out a better way to do it. And then also in those days, a lot of the English kids were very big and strong. And most of my friends, or a lot of my friends were like, Korean, Indian, local Chinese, different things like that. And sometimes I didn't like that the big, strong kids would pick on them and push them around. So I try to push back or insert myself in the middle, and then they got me beaten up a lot more. And it was kind of awkward. Then I made myself a bit tougher, and then I start fighting kids. But I was like forgetting who I was. I just really wanted to help people, right? So later, when I changed and went to French school, and they gave me some freedom, I met some good people, and I got my confidence back and I knew a bit more, and I just started going out and making friends. And I found out just by like being welcoming, being supportive of people, and giving like giving them energy, giving them support, making them feel good. Yeah. So and,
so there's no secret meditation.
I did meditate. I told you I read Bible every day. I meditate. I read the Quran. But I don't know. Like maybe it helped. Maybe it didn't.
So yeah, I mean that's the whole idea. I think I keep on telling. Only 22 is my year. My goal is to stay away from negative people. Although I say always negative people, but I don't know who is negative, man.
I have a theory on this, by the way.
I don't know who is negative people.
I have a theory on this, and I started thinking about it recently, right? The days when you feel the worst, when you don't think you can face up things, you're stressed at work, you're stressed at whatever, your energy is low, right? You feel low energy. Physically, our bodies are a combustion machine, right? We take in oxygen and carbon, and we burn it up, and we use it to create like energy, electricity, different things that power our body, right? We break down amino acids and turn them into energy, right? Basically, we're like an engine, a carbon engine, right? But on a more outside of it, not thinking of physical body, like there's a concept of energy among people, right? And I found that when you feel full of energy and you feel good, you can bring happiness and a smile to anyone. Anyone, right? And the trick is like, the people who have calm but large energy, they make you feel good. When I'm around people, I feel great. When I see them, I feel amazing. People who don't have enough energy, they're either negative or they're kind of clinging on and dragging people down. Even they're nice, but you just feel like dragged down when you talk to them, right? And I think, building up your own energy, managing your energy, it helps you do everything better. When I think about coming to Tel Camellia, I know I'm going to walk in the door. I'm going to see Gagan. I'm excited to see him. I'm going to give a big hug. I'm just going to be, every minute's going to be great. I meet people, new people, old people, and I'm going to enjoy all of it and talk to them. And I'm so excited every single time. Even if I go every day, I will feel so excited every single time, right? And it's just, I just feel like I I build myself up, or I live up to a certain kind of life where I have good energy. I do the things I enjoy. I drink coffee when I want to drink coffee. I take a walk when I want to take a walk. I read a book when I want to read a book. When I have to do things like work, I do my best every single time, put every piece of energy and effort into it. And when I interact with people, I try to care about the interaction. I'm not just, I have to do it. So, I actually, every call, every face-to-face meeting, when I go to the restaurant and order like a lunch at cha tang, meal number A, I try to give a shit about the 22 seconds of communication I had with the waiter, even if he's angry with me because I didn't order quick enough. For me, it's meaningful, and whether I'm going to drink like a milk tea and add my own sugar, or I'm going to ask for a cha tao where it comes with condensed milk already in it that's sweet. This is like means a difference, right? Today, I'm going to have the condensed milk that I only have once every 3 weeks when I have my afternoon tea meal. That already made me happy and gives me energy and makes me feel good, and then I can do better in life,
So, so I mean, the whole idea is like you don't do anything, but you build up it that way. So,
every moment, every decision is
live,
meaningful, right? Yeah. When I came here tonight and I'm tuning this whiskey, I spend like 20, 30 minutes thinking about it. I have a whole shelf of whiskeys in my house, right? Yeah. And but I'm not thinking like debating, like being scientific. Oh, it must be this. It's more like what feels right, what feels good in life, what's going to bring the most happiness to everybody around the table tonight or tomorrow. It's like, I always, like I said, just which type of tea I'm going to drink, or whether I'm going to walk left or right when I come out of my house if I'm not required to do anything. It already makes a difference. Like, to me, a lot of meditation is refocusing. So when you're living your life, you notice what's going on and you care about what's going on, But maybe even without being that formal, like the smallest thing, if I go to Circle K and I want to get a chocolate bar, whether I got an almond Snickers or a regular Snickers, it's already a big decision for me. When I got an almond Snickers and I bite it and oh my God, the taste is so delicious. It's like, I know it's junk, it's crap, but it still made me so happy for that one moment when I bite it, It's like,
so you just enjoy the moment.
Yeah, always. And notice the moment, everything about it, right? Like when we drink a good drink, we smell it, we taste it, we take our time, we care, right? But when you eat a McDonald's French fry, did you bother to care, or are you just stuffing your face and don't care, right? Yeah. Actually, I rarely eat French fries. I do eat McDonald's a bit too much, but I almost never eat French fry. Every time I get French fry, I always get the small one. I put a little bit of extra salt, which is really awful and it's going to kill me. But every fry I pick up when it's hot and fresh and I eat it, I remember being like an 8-year-old kid sitting in the boat in Repulse Bay McDonald's, eating those fries. That first time, that first flavor means so much. I love it, Even it's corny and nasty and it's not good for the world. But at least the experience, I think you have to be aware. You have to be conscious and enjoy it. You don't have to think about being aware. You don't have to put effort in, but just, like practice a little bit, and then once you get it, just enjoy your life all the time.
And I also see one more thing, a very important that I notice with you, that you know a lot of stuff. That's obvious, of course. Yes, Spencer. But on top of that, you don't look people down. Like you never go to no, you don't know. Let me tell you. Oh, you don't know. Let me tell you. You don't do that. How can you manage that as well? Being humble, but in a way, sometimes people will tell you nicely also, you know what, you don't know, man. Let me explain to you. I know better than you. They don't say I know better than, but I'm sure there's 1,000 people around me, man, who knows better than me. No, I'm guarantee. But that people who's gonna tell you, you don't know. Let me tell you. But for you, like you said, okay, you just gonna you bring the conversation is around. You make people realize. You don't know. Let me tell you, but not right away on the face. How do you manage to do that as well, man? That's a skills, I want to learn in 5 minutes, actually.
So when I was in my British school early, I told you I didn't enjoy it that much. One of the things I didn't enjoy is you sit in a room, 35 kids, and the teacher talks, and you listen, you take notes, you do your homework, and that's it. It's like you're paid to listen, but not to think. Actually, you're not paid. You pay them to listen. And I always thought it was strange. I'm like, this is not a good way to learn, right? Because yeah, I learn it because I have to, and I listen the best I can make myself pay attention, and I pass the exam and get a good mark or a bad mark. But when I look at the kids at school, I didn't think anyone was stupid, right? Like they were like, oh, these are the smart kids, these are stupid kids. No, I thought there's just the kids who are either interested or who somehow found the way to be able to listen, and the kids who are just like, this is so boring, and their mind is elsewhere, right? So, I don't really think about like whether I know more or less. I just think I knew something. And if in that moment there's a reason or an interest to share the something I knew, then why not, right? Yeah. Like earlier today, you gave me this cocktail, which I didn't talk about, and I'm doing product placement. You said it's from the famous Vesper bar in Thailand, and you didn't tell me what it was, but I read it on the bottle when you displayed it for 2 seconds. It says a Baccarat Gimlet. Gimlet is an amazing drink, one of my favorites, a really old classic cocktail. And these kind of things stand out to me. They mean something to me, right? I care about the whiskey. I care about the cocktails. I hang out your place because I know you put so much heart and craft and effort, and you're able to produce a product that is of a higher level than so many other people around the world, right? So I want to come and pay my respects to that, and I also want to enjoy it, right? If I had the chance to talk to people about that and share that information with them, I would definitely want to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't have any interest to prove someone else wrong or correct someone, right? Like sometimes people feel very strongly that they know something and maybe it's wrong, or maybe you feel it's wrong, or maybe you have a different point of view. But the first thing I think when I encounter that situation is there any benefit in proving this person wrong? Like if it's a harmless information and they got it a little bit off track, then maybe it's better for them to feel happy and confident and good sharing that information with their friends, talk about it. Maybe they're an arrogant, proud person, but it gives them strength, let them go, never mind. But if it's something they would like to know, or they would like to expand their knowledge, or maybe they made a small error and they're the kind of person that would care to correct that small error and learn a bit more, then I would love to share that knowledge if I have it. Yeah. And vice versa, people said I know a lot of stuff, but it's always useless stuff. It's never useful for me. It doesn't teach me to get rich, doesn't teach me to start a company. It's just stupid things, but I love learning it. I really love learning about life, and I feel like I'm a student of life. And for,
You're almost a teacher of life.
I don't want to say it. And it's not humble. It really feels embarrassing to even think. It feels wrong to think like that. Everyone is a student of life. They're just people in different stages of the journey in different areas, right? But for me, like when you talk about you learn a lot, I read a lot, I research a lot, but I'm not researching for benefit. I'm not researching so I could tell someone. I'm researching because I'm genuinely interested. And so much of the learning is actually not reading. It's actually meeting people and learning from people, right? Sometimes I go home to read afterwards to make sure I understood correctly or verify a certain thing or whatever. But really, so much of the learning is from meeting people. If I don't meet people and listen to what they tell me, then I'm not really going to learn a lot. So even though I talk a lot, I'm a very talkative person, as everyone can tell from here, I do listen very carefully whenever anyone's telling me anything. And if they're teaching me something, I'll focus my attention to try and understand it and pick it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, you made a very great sentence just right now. But I was into it, so I was going, oh, that is so good. What did you say that?
Don't worry, you recorded it, so you can check later.
Yeah. But
everyone's a student of life, but we're just different stage.
Student of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's pretty touchy. Everyone is student of life, was in the different stage.
A different stage in different areas, right? Yeah. So maybe I'm like a good student of life in this particular area that I know some about, like gemstones or polishing rocks or weird things like that. I know some stuff about that. I don't know why. Or the composition of granite, right? It's useless, but but other people are great students of life in other areas, right? And it's just, I think it's just important to enrich ourselves and the things we find interesting. Don't waste your time, don't fritter your life away. Make the most of it and enrich yourself so every minute can be a little bit more valuable, a little bit more meaningful, right?
Oh yeah, and then also one more thing that you mentioned, that you don't study things to tell something, to be a cool in front of some people, right? That's actually, some people do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people learn things so they could be like, actually. It even happened to me. I'll be like, and, I'd be talking about some bullshit. I say, back in 1983, and some guy will be like, actually, it was 1984, 15th of February. And I'm like, did you spend your whole life studying facts so you could tell someone that? I'm like, cool, I'll try to remember that. Maybe I remember, maybe I didn't. Maybe I said 1983 again, or maybe. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any point in gathering knowledge just to
Impress people.
yeah, or reinforce your position in the world or whatever. Like, do it because it's useful or do it because you care. Other than that, it's, like, we don't need to know everything, but it's good to know the things we care about and get a bit of understanding of them. And like I said, it enriches your own life. Of course, if I drink this cocktail, it would taste the same whether I know something about it or whether I don't. But when I understand how much craft and difficulty went into it, it somehow means something more. Take something like green chartreuse, right? Anyone who's a bartender loves green chartreuse, and any normal human being hates it and finds it disgusting. But when you know the history of green chartreuse and how much effort, like hundreds of years of perfecting this recipe and the number of herbals and florals and made on a mountain by monks with, this thing has more history than most of us know about our own family or our own countries or whatever. Just this one thing in a bottle that you could buy in a supermarket. And people don't even think. They took a sip and said, oh, it's too strong. Like, it's amazing. Like, human beings work together for hundreds of years to make this bottle.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's, so I think, like,
it's not in the craftsmanship. I think it's more on also the dedication. I think
dedication.
It's just some of them also they don't talk.
Yeah. So, okay. So, and I don't remember if those particular monks are them, but basically it's Trappist monks. So it's a subsidiary of maybe Dominica, I can't remember. But Trappist monks typically take a vow of silence, not for their whole life. I think it's usually about 3 years. And during that time, they don't talk at all. And very often the people who are doing the physical making, whether it's beer or wine or whatever, are often the ones who are in the midst of that vow of silence in the earlier part of their years as a monk. So, yeah, that's like, especially we hear a lot now about Belgian beers, Trappist beers, right? Trappist beers and some great wines. The people who made this amazing beer, again, with hundreds of years of history, have not spoken to another human being for maybe several months, maybe several years. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, right?
It's crazy. This crazy. How people dedicate their life to build something, to one thing. Let's not. Yeah, I think getting back to the one serious question that I always want to ask. I never ask you actually. You know who's Mac Life? You know who is Mac Life, buddy? You don't know who's Mac Life? You don't know the Conor McGregor, the UFC, the fighter, man.
Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
They call him Mac Live.
Yeah, his Instagram.
Angry Irish guy, yeah. He's fun. He's like I better not say he'll come beat me up. But
man, he's amazing. He's why I wanted to ask you, because you seem to from Irish, but you don't have that strong accent, and you don't have that kind of behavior for sure. This guy is athletic, but he enjoys his life and he's proud of it. Some people have to.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
I need the little boys' room. Very badly.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead,
Unfiltered.
Go ahead, Unfiltered. We're gonna cut this off. No worry. No, we're not gonna cut this off. By the way, we're just gonna cut. You're going to washroom.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
All right. So we are back to our Mac Life thing. Welcome back.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it.
So yeah, why I was gonna talk about him because because he's the guy actually who lives his life. He work hard, but also like promote in social media. He's crazy. He's just like he do all the crazy stuff.
So I want to say, like, one of the reasons I always felt very proud to be Irish, right? And people nowadays, like, they have a misconception. They think, like, everyone from UK is the same, Welsh, Irish, Northern Irish, Scottish. And then if you're really from, Southern Ireland, it's a totally different thing. People don't realize. But, I feel like Irish people have their own character, history, culture, totally different background. And a lot of... living in Ireland is about celebrating life, but in a simple way. Like, I don't think they would define it in such a complicated way, like such an American way. They just get on with things, but they can put up with a lot of hardship and difficulty. They care about their family so much. They really love their family, and they care about their friends. They're very social, and they want to have the most out of it. They want to enjoy every moment. They love to dance and sing. They like to fight as well. When I was a kid and we go back to Ireland, we always get in fights, but we don't feel bad about it. We just have a fight, and then we're cool afterwards. No big deal. It's a very celebratory culture. You know, when someone passes, like in Ireland, we often talk about celebration of life and telling stories and laughing. It's not those let the world pull you down, be so serious. And they don't focus so much on like money and stuff. Like, of course, everybody wants to make money and be successful. But I remember when the European Union first started taking their statistics, they conduct all these different surveys. And when Ireland joined the European Union, they were the poorest country in Western Europe, and it's mostly Western European countries then. So I think they were the poorest country in European Union, but they were the happiest. And then later they got rich, and at some stage they became the richest country in European Union for a while per capita, not total wealth per person, and they were still the happiest. And the point I took out of that is that it's not like they were happy when they were poor and miserable when they're rich, or happy when they're rich and miserable when they're poor. They were happy, didn't matter if they were rich or poor. Their happiness is not based on that.
I think we can see that on you. You always live the life. I think that's a very important thing. As you, it's stuck in my mind. You wouldn't, even buying a chocolate is a big thing for you.
Really a big thing. I don't buy chocolate very often, and when I buy it, I'm like, it's a very, especially casual chocolate, I eat it the least. Unless I'm in UK, then I eat it a lot because the chocolate in UK is really good. The cheap, nasty supermarket shelf chocolate is great. Actually, you buy it from newsagent. But in Hong Kong, I rarely buy chocolate. So if I go to buy a Mars bar, it's a very big deal for me. It's like I'm at home, I'm working, it's usually late at night, 10, 11 o'clock, I'm doing my thing, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I feel like a Mars bar. I haven't had a Mars bar in 6 months or whatever. And then I'll go and I buy a Mars bar and I take I take it back home.
I never had a Mars bar. Yeah, I don't eat sweets, so I
mean, that's a conversation killer right away. You know? I don't even know what to say. Is this part of your Buddhist meditation? Told you don't eat sweets or something?
No. It did never get into my any of us in our family. We don't really eat sweets.
You don't like it, or you just don't eat it?
It's just too much, man. It's that when you add the one bite of chocolate, it just make you feel like that. Oh my God.
So then I have a suggestion for you, Mr. Gagan, to change your life, right? So then, of course, that makes sense, right? In which case I would say, once in a blue moon, you should buy one piece of chocolate. Just one piece, not a bar like a Mars bar, just one piece. And something really crazy and delicious, like a See's Candy Scotch Mallow bar, but just buy the single chocolate, not the whole bar. And just go and eat that one bite with a strong coffee. And it's going to be too much. For sure, it's going to be too much. You might even feel a little bit sick afterwards, but it will feel so much joy in that first bite and so much flavor and so many things going on. You remember it for months afterwards, maybe years.
I don't even drink coffee or tea with sugar at all.
Me too. I don't drink coffee or tea with sugar. Oh, no, I lied. I drink tea with sugar. I don't drink coffee
at all. Again, so that's the thing. Anyways, man, I think we have done the great conversation over here. It's going to be in a, even we won't be here one day. It's going to be there forever. I think YouTube or in our the secret archive in a royal family.
I'll watch YouTube from heaven.
Thank you for coming, Spencer. I wanted to tell you again, if I wanted to have people around the world, more people, I want to have people like you more around everyone. You're a great person. You always been there for us, especially for me as well. You always have a great suggestions and a great conversation that you have always inspired me in a different way. And today you came over here. Usually we do 1 hour. Today we have like 1.5 hours. We just also say that. But I think that's because you went for a toilet, I guess.
Yeah.
And thank you. And if you want to say something before we finish, if you have anything that you wanted to.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much, Gagan, and for all the nice words. And I think to finish, I would just say, guys, go to Tel Camellia. Let's hang out there. Seriously, and let's make friends. And we bring people all the time, meet new people there, and that's where dreams are made. Let's.
I wanted to go. I wanted to go Ireland. That's one thing that. That is definitely gonna happen.
We'll make that happen.
Yeah, we'll make that happen.
And we'll pop in on Mac Live, say hello. And it'll be good, man.
His restaurant. What is that restaurant?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, you have a restaurant.
I heard. He just.
Man, this guy posts all this stuff. Like, I don't understand. Is it real?
It's real. It's real.
He's real.
He's real, yeah.
He's real, okay. Okay. All right, man.
All right.